sessions conducted by ASAP, Additional Skill Acquisition Program, Department of Higher Education, Government of Kerala. Today, as you know, we'll be having a class for the 8th semester EEE students on Industrial Instrumentation and Automation. And to handle the class today, we have with us Dr. Ramesh Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Government Engineering College, Thrissur. Dr. Ramesh Kumar is a very experienced professor, having over 13 years of teaching experience, and he's got his PhD from IIT Bombay as well. Students, please note that you can ask your questions or doubts in between the sessions as well. Sir will be addressing your doubts as and when required. Please note this is going to be a 1-hour session, and you can post your doubts in the Q&A option. Students, you should find yourself very lucky to attend a class taken by such an experienced professor. On behalf of ASAP and all the students present here, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. So last class, we have studied the basics of automation, the basic block diagram of automations, and what are the different components of a automated system, and different type of actuators and different kinds of valves, how they are operated, and what is their function. All those things we have discussed in the last ASAP class. Now we are moving into the next topic, that is in the last module of the this topic, industrial instrumentation and automation. That is an introduction to programmable logic control and SCADA. Okay, I will give a introduction. I mean, we have restricted time, so I will give a brief introduction into this topic, and which will be useful for your exams. Okay, so what do you mean by PLC? It's actually a controller, programmable logic controller, which is an electronic device that uses a programmable memory to store instruction and to implement specific functions, user-defined functions such as logic sequencing, timing, counting, arithmetic operations to control different machines and processes. Okay, so we got a wide range of application in the automation industries, like motion control of maybe different kinds of motors, then process control. Now we'll move on to the history of PLC, how the PLCs came into the automation industries. Okay, so it is introduced in the late 1960s, which is developed to offer some functionality as existing relay logic system. There was a relay logic systems are there that was there in the automation field, but in order to overcome the defects of all those logic system, the PLC has been developed. Okay, so which got a wide range of potential. We can say that they are programmable, reliable, and reusable. Okay, so which means this kind of a controller, programmable logic controller, it can withstand harsh industrial environment, because your PLC has been normally given to industries where say they works on a harsh environmental condition. So the normal wired kind of electronic device advantage to the PLC. So it can, the response time is very small, and they have a battery backup, and can use this PLC used ladder logic for programming, and this means the ladder logic programming is very easy. It can understandable for any of the, even its engineers are needed to understand this ladder logic programming, because very easy, and any person can understand the kind of programming that is using in PLC. So these are some advantages as well as the development of PLCs, right? So they are widely applied in all the kind of industries, specifically say automation industries, the vehicle manufacturing industries, then food products, then distilleries, beverages, all those automation, any kind of industry which is having the automation, they are depends on this kind of PLCs. So they are widely applied in industries, and they are developed to simplify the implementation of control automation systems in plants and assembly lines. Even it can PLC can employ in any kind of remote location or a remote environmental conditions. Okay, they are designed to minimize the number of control relays in a process and minimize the waste of relay that can be used. And they are first applied in automobile industries, that is in 1960s. Then as we already mentioned, they are flexible, reliable, and compared to other controllers, they are cheap. Cost is very less. Okay, now what are the different components of a PLCs? Okay, എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് the main components of the PLCs? So as we know, so it's a programmable logic controller. So definitely it should have a input output devices, then a processor, then a programming panel is the actually an input output device, the device where we are programming, and definitely there should be a power supply. So these are the basic blocks of a PLC: processor, memory, input output devices, and programmable panel or a programming unit, and the power supply. Here we can see what are the different components and how they are arranged. Okay, so here you can see a CPU which is having a microprocessor and memory where all the programs has been stored and executed. Okay, where CPU is the place where the programs has been stored, and accordingly the control has been developed and which will be given to the outputs. Okay, so another thing is where we have an input modules where you can give the different inputs, and the programming can be stored in the CPU where the program can be executed, and finally it can be delivered or it can be given to the output panels. And you need a power supply and a communication port. So the PLC has to be communicated with the other devices or other circuits. So we have a data line communication circuit is also there. So overall you can say there are input output devices and a central processing unit are the basic components of the PLCs. Okay, now what are the different input devices? It can be different input devices can be any of these components. It can be proximity switches, push buttons, ATL signals, BCD inputs, encoders, ADC, RTD, and load cell. Similarly, the output can be anything. I mean, motor starters, it can be a bulb or it can be indicators, alarms, maybe relays, variable speed drives, DACs, etc. So output can be any of these things, and similarly, the input devices can be all these components that has been given in this input devices column. The output can be any of these things that has been given in the output devices column. Okay, so we can give any of this input, any of the input to the devices that is given the input side. Similarly, you will get the correspondingly output according to the ladder logic diagram, and the output can be any of the components like this. So you can see that the control, this is the operation or this is the execution cycle of a PLC. Okay, so what the controller actually does is, which actually always monitors the inputs. Okay, so the controller is taking the input from the input devices, and accordingly it will execute the program. Okay, so according to the input changes, the program also will change. So execute the program, and which has to be communicate with the environment, and correspondingly it has to update the output. So the whole cycle we call it as a one scan. Okay, so depends upon this scan time, we call it the operating speed of the PLC. So your controller or the processor has to measure the, or always has to check the input check the input and execute the program, and output has to be updated according to the input. So this will take naturally it will take a very small time. So the full cycle of operation we call it as a scan. Okay, so we have a small comparison of the programmable logic controller with the normal or the conventional computer. Okay, so what is the relationship, or what are the difference, or what are the similarities between a PLCs and the computer? Okay, so whether it's PLC or a computer is the same? No, they are not actually the same. They have their own they have a lot of differences. Well, what are the difference between the PLCs and the computer? So you can see that PLCs, the inputs are sequentially scanned and required outputs are updated. So that is what I have already mentioned the slide just before this one. That is, corresponding to each output, the program is being executed and the output has been updated. So that is what you call a one cycle. So the inputs are sequentially scanned and the required outputs are updated. Whereas in the computer, what you can do is, on account of any interrupt in between, you can interrupt in between any time. Okay, so system changing the events can alter the order of execution or the operations. Okay, whereas and the next point, PLC is comparatively less complex. It is easily understandable to any person. It's not you don't need to be an engineer or an expert. The ladder logic diagram can be easily understandable. That is the main advantage. Whereas computer is having great complexity. So the programming language of the computer is not at all easy for any of the person. It's not easy, but an expert person can program it easily. Okay. Then another thing is the response time of the PLC is comparatively very less, whereas response that's a drawback actually. Response time is slower because it's sequentially they are programming, whereas response time for the computer is comparatively fast. Then PLCs are rugged construction and the computer whereas not. Then various troubleshooting possibility is available for the PLC. So that means if some problem is happened in the PLC programming, it is very easily to diagnose the problem and can be troubleshooted easily. But the troubleshooting facility for the computer is comparatively difficult when compared to the PLC. Then for a computer, for a PLC, the input output modules available for various voltage levels. So that is an advantage, whereas it's not same the case in the it's not the same as for the computer. It can be interfaced with the external, but a number of IO lines are more, whereas for the computer, number of input output lines are ports, or number of input output ports are comparatively less. So these are some comparison between a PLC and computer, right? Now we can examine, or we can realize some logic operations using a PLC ladder logic diagram. Okay, so how can you realize the different as we know, there are different logic gates like your AND gate, OR gate, NOR gate, XOR gates. Different gates or logic operations are there. Now using simple ladder logic diagram, how can you realize all these logic gates operations? Okay, so that is what we are going to do in the this slide. So for example, if you have an OR gate, two input OR gate, you have two inputs A and B and output is Q. Okay, now you go to the truth table, you can see that A and B are the inputs and Q is the output. So what you can see is that the OR gate will have an input, will have an output 1 when either of the input is 1 or both inputs are 1. So you can see that only at one case, when A and B are 0, your output is 0. Rest of the cases, all the cases, you will have a particular you will have an high, like you will have a one output at the and at output terminals. Okay, now how can you realize these operations? So here, this is the symbolic represent. Output is given at one point. Okay, you can see that the numbers are actually represents the address. Okay, now what you can see is that these gates, these switches are normally they are open. When some inputs are given, it will be closed. Okay, now you can see that when either A or B is 1 means either of A or B is closed. So you can see what happens when A is 1. If B is 0 or B is 1, there will be your output will be 1. If both A and B are 0, means your two switches are open. Okay, if two switches A and B are open, means your A is 0, B is 0. So if both inputs are 0, that means both the switches are open. So in that case, your output will be 0. Either rest of all the cases, you will have a particular output at your output terminals. So this is the operation of the OR gate that can be realized using a ladder logic diagram. Now see the operation of an logic AND gate. You have two inputs A and B and you have an output Q. So what you can see is that when both the inputs are 1, then only you will have a output. All other cases your outputs are 0. So now you can see two switches are there, A and B, and your output is connected. They are actually serially connected. Now it is clear from that figure itself, if both switches A and B are closed, then only you will have an output. Otherwise, even if either of A or B is 1, that doesn't mean that your output will be equal to 1. So the condition you need is both the switches A and B has to be 1. That means when A is 1 means your switch A is closed, and B is 1 means your switch B is also closed. So when both the switches are closed, then the output will be 1. Otherwise, all the three cases your output will be 0. So you can realize the logic AND gate operation using a PLC programming, that is ladder logic programming. Okay. Now, for example, NOT gate. So what is the peculiarity of the NOT gate is that when you have a 1 input, your output is 0. When you have a 0 input, your output will be equal to 1. Now you see how it can be realized. So this switch actually represent that they are normally closed relay switch. Okay, that arrow mark, there is a cross mark that actually represent this is normally closed switch. So normally closed switch means even if you are if you have a is equal to 0, so A is equal to 0 means the switch is closed. So that means there will be output 1. When you give an input, that is A is equal to 1, what happens? Your normally closed relay will become open. So in that case, there will not be any output. So you can easily realize an NOT gate operation using a simple PLC ladder logic, and this particular switch actually represent a normally closed relay. Normally closed relay will become open when an input is equal to 1. Now NOR gate. How can you realize a NOR gate? This is the symbol and you see the truth table. So when is the output is equal to 1? NOR gate is simply NOT and OR gate. So both the inputs are 0, then only you will have an output. Both the inputs are 0, then only you will have an output. All other cases your output is equal to 0. Now how can you realize that operation using a PLC? You can see that two switches A and B, they are actually normally closed relay. So normally closed relay means you don't need any input. If the A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, both the switches are closed, then definitely you will have an output. Other cases, what happens? Any of the switches A and B is given an input 1 means that switch will become open. So either of the switch A and B is open means you don't have an output. So that is how you realize an OR gate using a PLC. Now move to the XOR. Similarly, you can see that how the XOR operation is XOR operation can be realized using a PLC. But you can see that truth table. What you can see is that you will have an output when and only your either A or B is 1. If A is 1 and B is 0 means you will have an output, and A is 0 and B is 1, then only you will have an output. Other cases you will have 0 output. Now you can see how it can be realized. Okay, you have two normally open switch and two normally closed switch. So you examine the first case. When A is equal to 0. When A is equal to 0 means the upper switch will become open, and the second switch, I mean the below switch will become closed. Okay. Now second B is equal to either of the switch is open means you don't have a output. I will repeat the operation of realization of an XOR gate using PLC ladder logic diagram. You can see that from the truth table, you will have an output only when either of A or B is equal to 1. Otherwise, other two cases you will have a 0 output. Okay. Now examine the case when A and B is equal to 0. When A and B is equal to 0, what happens? You will have two switches. They are connected like that. When A is equal to 0, I mean the first switch is open. Naturally, that is open, so don't need to think about that. And the second switch also B is open. I mean second in the downwards, one of the switch is also open. So definitely there will not be any output. Now move on to the last. That is when both are 1. When both are 1 means naturally your B, the top B and the below A will be open. So correspondingly there will not be any output. Now take the case of 0 A0. A0 means your the top switch is open, but B is Okay, A0 means the top. A0 means top. A is uh, open, and the below switch is below A is closed, and B is one means below the downward B is uh, closed. So corresponding there will be an output. So similarly, when 1 0 or 0 1, so when of 0 and 1 and 1 0, definitely you will have an output, because one of the normally open switch will operate accordingly. So definitely you will have an output. In other cases, all other cases, your output will be equal to 0. So this is how you can realize any of the operation of a logic gate using the PLC.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, sir. Yes, കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട് sir. ഒരു question ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്, see, is PLC used in robotics?
As such, PLC is for, I mean, I don't know, to as far as I know, PLC is not used in any kind of robotic industries as far as I know. Okay.
Okay. So another question. I'm not sure if you have discussed this, but it's a random question. What is the difference between PLC and HMI?
HMI is a human machine interface. Okay. So human machine interface is actually, that is, we are coming into the next section, SCADA. So human machine interface means it's a whole unit. So PLC has been used in HMI. It's not like PMEs and HMI and PLCs are different. So PLC is a part of HMI.
Okay. That's all the question that has come now. You can continue the session, sir.
Okay. So we'll back to the realization of NAND gate operation using a logic ladder logic diagram. So you can see the truth table of the NAND gate. NAND gate, all the cases you will have the output is equal to 1 only when both the inputs are equal to 1, your output is equal to 0. So you can see that case only, because two switches and we are normally closed switch. So whenever the two inputs are equal to 1 means both the switches will be open. So when both the switches are open means you don't have any output. All rest of all other three cases you will have an output. So you can realize the NAND operation using two normally closed switches. Okay. So this is how you can realize all the logic operations using the PLCs. Okay. Now to more a bit higher version, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ higher level applications of PLCs in speed control of different induction motor or DC motor, or it can be used for the next slide, or it can be used for the speed control of an induction motor, DC motor, or any other water level controller, temperature controller, or either pressure controller, or any other control application. You can use your PLC controller. Okay. So first thing is you need to draw the ladder logic diagram, and you need write the code using that, and that can be executed corresponding to the different inputs. So here you can see an application. A ladder logic diagram provide a method to symbolically show how relay control schemes are implemented or how they are connected. So relay contacts will be there, and coils, input, outputs, and they all these components are arranged between two ranks. Actually there will be two vertical lines which we call it as the rank. All other components has been connected in between these two ranks. For example, you can see here you have a motor speed has to be controlled, and motor has to be operated. Now how the PLCs or how the coils or different components has been connected between the two ranks. You can see that there is a stop button, start button, and there is relays are there, contacts X1, which are actually relay contact, then push buttons, and your motors are there. Then different terminals, relay contacts are there. Then there is a ground is connected with a normally closed contact, because it will be always, because your ground has to be connected. So that is there. Then you can see that there are different relays have their own operation. The purpose is to sense any abnormal condition. In case of any abnormality, relay will trip. Okay. And you can see that motor will operate when your 2, 3 and 5 operations are closed. Your 2, that is 2 means your X1 is closed, because you need a continuous supply to the motor. When X1 2 is closed, that is your starter is connected to the motor, your motor will start to rotate, and 3 5, and 5 is actually ground, and 3 is actually the relay that is connected to the motor. When all this contact has been closed, your motor will start to rotate, which is actually the representation of a motor control can be done using a PLC. So more the, I mean, the operation, more the control schemes you require, the more the complicated ladder logic diagram. But if you do one or three process or one or three system, will be very easy to understand. Okay, this is how a speed control starting of a motor can be done using a PLC. Okay, now what are the different advantages of PLC means compared to other controller devices, controlling devices? It's more flexible, because flexible in the sense that if you have a wired system, it will be more complicated, because in the sense that you need a wired, hardwired components, mean it will be very difficult to transport or difficult to arrange, and it may also be difficult to arrange all those components, and may increase the cost of component also. So compared to all the wired components, wired kind of controller, your PLC is flexible, which is having a comparatively faster response time, and the solid state devices has been used because electronic components like your microprocessor, CPU, different input devices we are using. So it is don't have any moving parts, which is actually advantage. So once there is a moving components, mean it may cause different problems, lose connections, or maybe the operation also get affected. Then modular design, easy to repair and expand. So that is the added advantage. I mean, you can, once the program is written for a particular application, that program can be expanded or program can be reduced. So we have a wide range of freedom actually. So you can rewrite the program, or you can rearrange the program, or you can have a additional features can also be included in the existing program. So that is an added advantage of your PLC. And but the another advantage is sophisticated instruction sets are available. Okay, other than the written available code, and other lot of, if the more the complicated program if you get, that also available with the module. Okay, then compared to the other controllers, it is comparably cheaper and easy to troubleshoot. So that is what we have already mentioned. So compared to other system or other controller, in case of any problem is happened to the existing controller, and that problem can be easily troubleshoot, and it can be rectified easily compared to other kind of controller. Okay, then, and this kind of a controller is applicable to any kind of complicated automation, industrial automation control system. Now, another thing that what we already mentioned is that this is having a robust or a right construction. So it is even this kind of a controller is easily, or it can be work at any bad or any harsh environmental conditions, like what you are seeing in any kind of industrial applications. Okay, so this is what I need to mention about, or I want to talk you about the PLCs and PLCs, their comparison with the normal computer, and how can be PLC can be used to realize the logic operation, or how it can be used for control applications, etc. Okay, now moving into the next topic, that is SCADA. Okay, so have you heard about the SCADA? What do you mean by, or what is the expansion of SCADA? That is supervisory control and data acquisition. Okay, I think you people might be heard about SCADA when you people have visited to different industries like automation industry, or maybe substations. You might maybe heard about the substation near to, I mean, that may be included in your industrial visits. You might have visited to any electrical substation, maybe 110 kV, 22 kV, or a 66 kV. Where we have a wide range of application for SCADA in this kind of electrical substation actually. And this has been started in many of the substations in the Kerala nowadays. So that got a wide range of application in the all kind of automation industries. Specifically, say what I am saying is in electrical substations. Okay, so the SCADA stands for supervisory control and data acquisition. So what it does is, you will have a number of sensors for your data acquisition. and you will have so your data acquisition means your sensors are there. The sensors will sense the data or the quantity. So that will be given to different RTUs. So correspondingly, that data has to be displayed, or that has to be recorded. Sometimes you may need to have a control operation according to the data that has been sensed or monitored, and all those things has been arranged inside a different modules. So together, we call it as a supervisory control and data acquisition means data measurements and storing. That is what we call the data acquisition. We'll have a different data acquisition cards available. Okay, so we'll going into the details of SCADA. So it is a type of software application program for process control. Yeah, that is for process control or industrial automations, etc. Okay, so we'll have a central control system which consists of different blocks. So different blocks means we'll have a controllers, network interface, input output communications, and intercommunications, and software also should be there. Okay, so SCADA systems are used to monitor and control the equipments in the industrial process. Maybe some remote locations, your actual components or actual devices may be located at one place, and your monitoring and the control and data acquisition can be at some other place. I mean, because automation industry need all these kind of a supervisory അല്ലെങ്കിൽ data acquisition system. You cannot, it's not always possible to arrange all those things at the exact location of your automation, I mean the industry or the process. So that has to be separated at some other place. Okay, so in that way, SCADA systems are used to monitor and control the equipments in the industrial process, right? So like manufacturing, production, development, and fabrication. And the infrastructural process include, it can be gas and oil distribution, like electrical power and water distribution industries, public utilities, bus, traffic systems, airport, etc. So the SCADA got a wide range of application in a number of industrial automation system. Okay, so the SCADA system takes the reading of the meter and check the status of sensor in regular interval, so that it require minimal interface for the human. So that is what I want to mention. Normally in electrical substation, maybe consider the case of a 110 kV substation. Okay, so what happens in the substation is, you will have a certain, maybe some 110 kV voltage, 110 kV voltage is coming into the substation. For example, you are converting or you are stepping down that voltage into 11 kV. So you will have a 110 kV bus and 11 kV bus. In between, you will have a transformer. So what the substation does is that your 110 kV voltage is reducing into 11 kV, and that 11 kV is giving into a 11 kV bus bar, and from the 11 kV bus bar, different 11 kV feeders are being supplied, right? So this is the what operation there in the 110 kV substation. So now what you want to measure is, you need to measure, always you need to measure, I mean, there will be an operator. What is the purpose, or what is the job of the operator is that to monitor whether the voltage is having the 110 volt or 11 kV, and what is the line current at each instance, and what is the temperature of the transformer winding, what is the oil temperature, and different kind of measurement he has to take manually and recorded in a book. That is the purpose, or that is the job of the operator inside the substation. Now this is actually a tedious process. The operator has to go to the yard, I mean, because the transformer is located at the yard, and the 11 kV feeders, I mean, the breaker, circuit breaker is also maybe located at the, maybe some breaker will be located inside the panel room, but the substation the operator has to go to the substation yard to measure the temperature and measure the oil temperature, winding temperature, and the 11 kV voltage, 11, what is the line current, load, etc. So once the automation is done, all the process can be done inside a cabin or inside a panel. So that what actually the SCADA is doing in the substation, because this instead of 1 hour or hourly or an half an hourly monitoring and recording, the SCADA system is actually monitoring or recording the data like voltage, current, oil temperature, the winding temperature, etc. at each instance. all these values has been sensed at each instant, and it can be recorded, or it can be sensed, or it can be displayed at the data table. So which actually you can see that how the you can reduce the incorporation of the human being in taking and storing the data, and that means you can reduce the number of labor required to take the this kind of a readings or this recording this kind of a data. You are reducing the human interventions, as well as you can reduce the errors also. So this is what actually SCADA does in a 110 kV substation, I mean any kind of a substation automation systems. Okay, so now the SCADA system takes the reading of the meters and check the status of sensors in regular interval, so that it requires minimal interference of human beings. So by that it can reduce the labor cost, as well as it can reduce the human errors. Then generally SCADA system is centralized system which monitors and controls the entire area. So this is what I have already mentioned in the case of the substation. Whatever reading has to be taken from the whole yard of a substation, that can be done inside a simple panel board inside your panel room. Okay, so it is purely software package that is positioned on top of a hardware component. A supervisory system gathers data on the process and sends the commands control to the process. So this is actually an online process. You are taking the data, using the sensor, and this data has been given to the different RTUs, and you have a microcontroller and microprocessor. There will be code, there will be program, and sometimes if you need to have a control action, so correspondingly the process has to give the corresponding control signals. So correspondingly the controller will execute that control action to bring back the system into the normal operation. Okay, so a supervisory system gathers data on the process and sends the command to the control to the process. So all the process has been controlled within a small time, in case, even in case of any small disturbation, a small perturbation, or any disturbances. Okay, so the SCADA system is a remote terminal unit, RTU, which is also known as RTU, and the most control actions are automatically performed by the RTUs, or maybe you have an RTUs, or maybe you have a PLCs. So you can control action can be implemented either using RTU or PLCs. So the main unit is, one of the main unit is the sensor, and the processor or the controller, and the controller. The controllers can be either PLCs or RTUs. Okay. Okay. Now, what are the, I mean, summarize. You can summarize the operation of the SCADA as data acquisition. So data acquisition means, so if you need to measure the temperature, voltage, current, or a pressure, or a whatever, humidity, any of the physical variable or physical measurement that can be measured actually using the sensors. You have a different kinds of sensors for taking all this data. So the data acquisition can be done by the sensors, and that can be, again, that data can be given to the system. You need some what you call the digital to analog to digital conversion techniques also needed, and this data can be used for online control action, as well as you can store the data at specific intervals. Then data communication is required, so you need to communicate between the different blocks, or different what do you call the you need to communicate between the different blocks. So you need a certain communication line between these blocks. Then data representation or data storing and the data display. Then monitoring means that whatever data you have monitored, I mean any of these physical quantity that I already mentioned, this data has to be displayed, that has to be monitored. So in case of any abnormality is happening, the correspondingly the control actions has to be triggered in sometimes, otherwise it will be automatically taken care. So altogether, the purpose or the function of the SCADA is data acquisition, communication, representation or display, monitoring and control. Okay, so all this action has been done using a single unit. So they are all integrated inside a single unit to perform a specific automation action. So this is the next slide. This is the architecture of the SCADA. You can see what are the different blocks involved in the architecture of the SCADA. You will have a servers, a primary server and a secondary server, where the data has to be stored for, I mean, because your data has been stored for a period of time, maybe years or maybe months or maybe some weeks. You need a server specific storage place to store all this data, because your analysis can be analysis may be done at maybe at hourly or maybe by day or maybe by yearly. So all this data, whatever maybe the current voltage fault, any of this data or any of these quantities has to be measured and has to be digitized and has to be stored. So you'll have a servers, then there will be independent control centers like maybe NB, and they are connected with them in the site gateway. Then you have telemetry server, one telemetry servers, then RTO command server, then modems, bridge. All those are electronics component. And you have RTUs, that is remote terminal unit, and IED is intelligent electronic devices. So maybe your controller can be either PLCs or maybe IEDs. Then phone line, I mean, you need Intel power line communications is needed between the different blocks. So that communication, in case of a substation, that can be through the power line carrier communication can also be used. Otherwise, this communication RTU is the device which actually sensing the transfer the sense data into the memory, and the program will be executed from the RTUs. And the controller can be either done by a programmable logic controller or intelligent electronic devices. So together we have blocks like RTUs, controllers, then servers, and the control centers, and the power line or the communication network is also needed to communicate between the different blocks. Okay, so for example, as we already mentioned, the energy management system, otherwise the power and the substation automation system, how the or a SCADA can be used in that application. So it can be two ways, either for control and maybe for analysis. So the for control means automatic generation control, voltage control. I mean, automatic generation control means we have a generator. So that generator is actually generating electric power independent of the demand, right? So accordingly, if the demand increases, the generation has to be increased. So you need to have a the relationship between the demand and the generator. So you need some control operation for that. So that can be done using an your SCADA system. So if the demand is increasing, correspondingly, then generation has to be increased. So that can be done automatically without any human help. So that can be done using the SCADA, because the demand has to be measured and monitored each instant. Correspondingly, the generation also has to be measured instantaneously. So correspondingly, as the demand increases, the generation has to be increased. So that can be done automatically using the SCADA. And another thing is the voltage control. I mean, if there is any dip in the voltage, or if there is any increase in the voltage, so correspondingly the voltage has to be retained into the constant value. How can be SCADA used in the energy management system or for the electrical voltage regulation, voltage control, frequency control, etc. Okay, so similarly, interchange transaction scheduling. Okay, that is like voltage. I mean the supply, electric load shedding, then restoration, etc. All these allocations, I mean the power allocation, generation allocation, all this can be done with the help of a SCADA, which including a special stability controls. All those electrical operation, electrical control can be done using the SCADA, a single SCADA system. Then other for analysis. Analysis means the estimation and the contingency analysis. These are all applied to the electrical power analysis or energy management problems. Okay, so there will be, if there any contingency problem will happen within, in the future time, you need to predict whether there will be a shortage of power or there will be a reduction of the demand, etc. So all those offline analysis or predictions, etc., that can also be done using the SCADA data which is available. Then economic dispatch, short-term load shedding and load forecasting, all those electrical operation and electrical monitoring and control, all those operation can also be done using the SCADA. Now we have already mentioned the potentials of the SCADA. They have their own some advantages as well as few disadvantages. So advantages means SCADA systems provides onboard mechanical and graphical informations. Then SCADA system is really expandable. Once it is installed for a particular application, that doesn't mean that it is that for a particular application. Naturally, it is expandable. More and more operation can be incorporated within the existing system. So we can add a set of control units and sensor according to the requirement. Additional sensors or controllers can be added to a particular existing SCADA system. So they have an ability to operate at critical situation. Even at some bad situation also, that can means a crucial situation also, it can handle, specifically say the applicable to the power system application. Then drawback is that the protocols, I mean the TCP or IP based protocols are used for the SCADA system. They are extremely, they are susceptible to cyber maloperations or cyber attacks. So that is actually a problem. So could cause not only financial loss, but also there can also be a damage to the human life also can get affected. So that can be, I mean, that should be overcome. I mean, you can use some other additional protection or additional, what do you call, the security systems are required for this kind of a online monitoring and protection and control system. So that has to be improved. Then only you can use the potential potential of this kind of a supervisory control and a data acquisition system. Okay, so the SCADA got a wide range of application in the different automation and in automation industry, specifically the electrical, power generation, power substations, etc. So with this, I am concluding the section. Hope you got a few idea about the PLCs and SCADA, which will be useful to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions. Shall I address it? Hello, sir.
Sure.
Okay. Jauhar has asked, what are the specific applications of PLC?
Specific applications of PLC means it. I mean, I already mentioned the application got in different process control industries. Process control industries mean some chemical industries, like some manufacturing industries. Then automation. Automation a systematic, a repeating cycle of repeating operation, like packaging industry. We can say that specific food processing, like food manufacturing or food packaging, or specific repeating operations. If some repeating operations are carrying out, then for the speed control of DC motor or speed control of any kind of motors. So all these kind of application you can use PLCs. It's got a wide range of application. Any kind of automation industry you can make use of PLCs. It's got a wide range of application in any kind of automation, manufacturing, speed control of motors, speed control of what you call the different kind of motors, or maybe some packaging industry, distilleries, beverages, etc. Packaging industry, either kind of industry, if you have an automation, you can use PLCs.
Okay. Sir, ഒരു question വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. What are the significance of timers and counters in PLC?
So timers, you got, I mean, you've got that's an integral part of the PLCs actually. We have already mentioned only the simple applications of the PLCs. But when you move on to the complicated applications and complicated system, so you need to operate certain switches or certain logic switches at particular interval, or after a period of time, maybe after this much of time, after this much of delays, etc. So in that case, you need to introduce timers. I mean, this switch has to be operated after this time or this much of seconds, etc. So as the system get more complicated, you need to implement the timers for the ladder logic diagram as well as in the PLCs.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Then we have another question from Matthew Abraham. Is it possible to implement PID control logic using PLC? Is there a ladder logic diagram for integration and differentiation?
PID controller is an electrical device. Actually, what PID controller actually does is, you will have two components. One is proportional, integral, derivative. You will have an actual value error between these two, or the error will be giving into these three different blocks. So corresponding a control action will be coming out of the PID. So that will be giving into the actuators, right? So this kind of a controller is not like an on-off controller. Okay, this is actually a continuous process, right? So from 0 equal to t equal to 0 to t equal to infinite. Practically we say allowing t at a finite value. So during this time, these values have been updated at each instance. Corresponding, your control action will be altered at each instance. So these kind of a condition that PID control action cannot be implemented using a simple PLCs.
Are ladder logic interoperable? Are there any other programming language
Sure.
than ladder?
Yeah.
That's a question from Ashish.
There are functional block diagram representation is there. So other than the ladder logic diagram, you can either use a functional block diagram representation. So that is actually just like your simulating blocks that we are using in the MATLAB. So there is another programming language is what you call the functional block diagram. Then using then another one is using structural text method, writing of code using the structural text. So other than the another one is sequential function method. So other than the ladder logic diagram programming, you can use either sequential function method, functional block diagram method, or structural text kind of coding. So these are other three method of programming the PLCs other than the normal ladder logic diagram. Well, the ladder logic diagram is the easiest one, can be easily understandable. I think it's clear.
Okay, sir. Then one last question. Can cloud-based system not be used in such application? Is it being used nowadays? That's a question from Rahul.
That is for SCADA, no?
Yeah,
The
he has
question is,
mentioned. Probably SCADA.
yeah, it can, yeah, SCADA. So for SCADA, you can use the cloud-based data storage and communication can be used using the SCADA. That is actually using in present. It's being used.
All right, sir. So thank you very much for a very informative session. I am
Thank you,
sure
thank you,
all the students will be happy to have attended your class today. So on behalf of all the students and ASAP, thank you very much.